Okay. A very good morning to all. In today's session, we are going to learn about the communication concept. What is all about the types of communication? What is the process of communication? What are their advantages and disadvantages? And upcoming topics. So let's begin. What is communication? So the first image is a pictorial image where it shows there are 4 or 5 people who are putting up questions to each other. What is exactly called? It means they are sharing, they are exchanging their words, they are communicating their messages to each other in the form of verbal communication, that exactly called communication. So communication is a process when there is a process to exchange your opinion, your ideas from one person to another or among a group of people. That exactly called communication. For example, if you speak up in front of the public and whatever you say on a particular topic, that exactly called the communication. It would be a long communication, would be a short communication. So communication begins when you have a question mark on a certain topics or a certain idea, and you ask from them. That exactly called the communication. So let's talk about the definition of communication. Communication is all about sending or receiving information or any transmission of information where a certain meaning would come out and shared from one party to another. That exactly called communication. You can look at the images as well. That during the interview, the interviewer asks basic questions to the interviewee. That exactly called formal communication between one person to another person. But when we talk in the another image where the two persons are talking to each other on a particular topic, will be a recruitment process or it will be the salary packages. That exactly called the communication, where any one person message would also transmit the same message to another person. That ultimately called communication. There are different ways of communication. If you talk about speaking, of course, is also the one of the way of communication where a group of person speak on a common topic or give an introduction in front of others. That actually called the speaking version of the towards the communication with different personality of the persons. Writing is also the another way of communication. So if you don't want to speak and you think that by writing whatever you think, and you, instead of speaking, you write up in a piece of paper and share your views and just transmit this paper to a group of persons. That actually called one of the way of communication. Visual image. So if you don't want to speak, don't want to write, just show up the picture and just portray what you want to show in a message through want to show a message through the visual images in front of the public or in front of the people. That actually call the visual image. For example, chart of a family tree we can talk about. You don't want to say, but the family tree portray what exactly you want to say through the visual image. That is also the another way of communication. The next one is body language. So instead of speaking, writing, or showing up an image in front of the public, your body language speaks a lot. Even if you don't want to speak, and you just show up your gestures, your way of moving your hands and your eyes, your lips, that also portrayed what you are trying to say or communicate to the others, and that's called the body language, which is also the one of the way of communicating your messages, your ideas to others. So if for example, if you want to say that this idea it's not correct, so you can show your gestures that ultimately a part of your body language, and that is also the one of the way of communication. So these are the four main uh, ways to communicate with others, that is speaking, writing, visual image, and body language. Now we talk about the function of communication. So when we talk about the functions of communication, these are the four main functions. The first one is information. Second one is emotional expression. Third one is motivation. And the fourth one is control. So let's discuss one by one all of these functions of communication. So let's begin with information. So when we talk about the information, so based on the information through communication, a better decision can be taken or to do the best work in a particular organization. So whenever the individuals or any work groups always need information, and the information can be searched through television, can be searched through telecommunication channels, can be searched through radio, can be searched through, you can see mobile phones, can be searched through communicating or discussing or sharing your particular information with different peoples, so that why you are doing so to make up a better decisions for your own life, or better decisions for a particular or for the beneficial of an organization, or in case to do your own work. So information is one of the functional area of communication, and without information, the communication doesn't exist. So that is why the information is one of the most important function of the same. The next one is emotional expression. Sometimes when you are sitting with your colleagues, or sitting with your friend circle, so it is very important that your expression speaks louder than the words. Sometimes if you are agree with the one of the agree with one of the opinion of the person, definitely you can express your you can express your emotional way, where you can communicate or express your own self in terms of speaking to others. So social interaction, when it comes to the working in group, the communication is always provide a way for employees to express their own self. And emotional expression is one of the functional area of communication, where you express yourself emotionally, happily in front of the public. The next one is motivation. Obviously, the communication is always helps to motivate their employees in a particular organization. Communications always clarify the doubts of the employees, what is to be done, how well you have been done, and how it could be done to improve your performances or behavior in the organization. So if a manager, you can say, motivates the employee, that motivate their employee that this is the work you have to perform, and this is a way that how you will perform and could your performance could better next time in an organization, and it could be done. It could be done through proper or healthy communication between them. So that is the motivation is also the one of the function of communication that ultimately build up through the healthier and cordial relationship between the employer and employees in an organization. The next one is control. So when we talk about control, so it is very necessary to have a both types of communication, formal and informal communication, so that a particular individual behavior or the act could easily be controlled in an organization. So if you can see a training programs has to be given to or to be provided to all the employees that how to control yourself when it comes to the any bad feeling, when it's come to any negative behavior of others. So you cannot influence your own work in an organization just through these particular negativity arise in an organization. So it's better to communicate. It's better to face with all those you can say employees who are actually spreading the negativity in the organization. So it could be controlled through formal and informal communication between the employer and employer, between the subordinates who work together as a team. So control is also the one of the function of communication. This is a communication process where two main parties would involve in that, and accordingly their functioning would begin, and accordingly they will send and end up the message. So sender and the receiver. So when we talk begin from the sender, they just make up the decide that what type of message is to be written, what exactly want to convey to the receiver, so that message has to decide by the sender. So when the message has to be decided, whether it would be relate to a important message relate to a company, an important message relate to a you can say quality or of the other employees or any other factor that actually influence the organizational work and commitment, that message has to be decided by the sender. So once the message has to be decided, it turn or convert into coding in terms of gestures, in terms of pictorial form, in terms of symbols, in terms of numbers, in terms of alphabets. That's called encoding. So once the encoding of the message process has to be done, then the medium through it would be, you can say different types of channels would be through email. It should be sent by a communicator, or one of the executive would come with a medium or like that. Then accordingly, once the medium has to be decided, a decoding message by receiver process will goes on. Decoding means the message which has been sent by the sender in a particular codings or symbolic or any other form of communication, that the receiver will decode that message in a very simple manner, in a very simple language to understand. And that's called decoding word. That's called the decoding meaning. By and that decode by the decoding to be done by the receiver, and ultimately the receiver, you can say, send the message, that the whole process encoding, medium, decoding by the sender. This is a process of communication to be taken. So when the receiver decode the message and easily understood the message, then the feedback process the would begin. That is feedback phase. Then a message, that whether it would be understood or not, then that message is to be turned into convert into encoding in terms of gestures, in terms of numeric coding, in terms of alphabets coding. Then the medium is to be used, that what kind of medium it to be utilized to reach up that message to actually sender. Then the sender will receive the message of the receiver and accordingly decode the message. So this particular feedback phase will be taken or processes by the receiver to sender. But when we talk about sender, is actually the true message is to be the phase to be given or sending that message to the receiver. So that phase is actually called the transmission phase. So whatever the noises or the problems or the concern or issue would be arises in the network, it comes in the form of noises in the medium. It would be through emails, it would be the direct person or better in person to share that message to the receiver by the sender. So this is a way that how a type of media is to be used, and it is very important step to include and how you decided what type of media is to be utilized. So this is a communication process, communicator, a person who has a various ideas, intention, information, or purpose of communicating. So that is called sender. Message, any idea, any experience the sender wants to communicate. Then encoding, that convert that message into a groups of symbols or any other ideas or concepts. Medium of transmission, the carrier of the message, it could be through mail, it could be in person, that is called the medium of transmission. Then decoding, decoding by the receiver, that is a technical term which the sender has sent into a message, and technical term for the receiver thought to process that particular term. Feedback, that how, whether it would be understandable or not understandable, noise, whatever the factors that influence to reach that message to the sender. So this is actually called